IBM's social media seekers
for
lead generation.
This was an interesting case study that was done on eMarketer.com, and it was IBM talking about how they use social media. Now, IBM's like a big, like, old company. They're not, you don't think of it as being super agile and super whatever.
They do have tons of bloggers. They have actually a formal social media engagement policy.
Yep.
And what I thought was more interesting about this is they actually have a formal program to not only forget about listening, but a few people that have volunteered to listen specifically for lead generation.
Right.
So specifically looking for people that say things like, oh, we have to figure out how to buy some new servers, or things like that, right?
But what's interesting about the way they're doing it is it's called listening for leads, and these seekers, the people that are out there looking for leads online, they're not out there and then talking to this person who's looking to learn something about that and trying to convince them to buy the IBM product. They're out there pointing them at resources, helping them, being just a really good resource online, and then hoping that through the resources they provide, they'll find their way back to IBM. They also do hand off the leads occasionally to their salespeople, but one of the quotes from it was, the thing you have to be careful with in social media is that you can't take your expert, for example, in this one, the guru of cloud computing, and expect him or her to also be your salesperson. You have to separate those two roles, so the person that's interacting on social media isn't trying to sell on social media. They're creating content and being useful. I thought it was a fantastic example of doing it right.
It's interesting because I think you have to walk this fine line of, yes, you want to sell something, but if you're overly promotional, that can really backfire on you. Do you have any advice for companies on this? This is one where I think it's really a fine line.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it gets back to common sense, which we lose sight of, is that always put yourself in the consumer's position, to where it's like, how do you like to be spoken to when you're out there? And so whenever you have a doubt in your mind, always go flip the switch, go sit in that seat and go, okay, how would I like to be approached? I don't want to be jammed down as 15% off.
Right.
I want to know why this is going to provide something of value to me. And again, common sense, but a lot of times we lose sight of that because we get myopic in our day-to-day.
Right.
And so always kind of take your hat off and put the consumer's hat on as much as you can.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
So what's the marketing takeaway for this one, Mike?
So the marketing takeaway for this one is don't sell through social media, but be the content expert and drive products to your salespeople through sort of your website and through some engagement. Don't just sort of like, you see somebody tweets about something and you're like, oh, great, here's our special, click here to buy now.
Buy
it's like
now.
there's some steps in between there.
You mentioned Dell before, figuring out that just coupons on Twitter wasn't the right way to use it. They had to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think that's part of this.
Totally.